Okay.
We have a trifecta of looking at each other going on.
Gotcha. So, no, Dustin kind of sees you guys looking after him, and you see him sort of fumble around in his pack, and he, as you guys are walking, as it still will be a full day, it's just you get further. He comes up to you, and you see him carefully approach, and he has sort of this folded bundle of oilcloth in his hand. And just starts talking. Talarian. He sort of smiles. Talarian began joining me in my hunting through that winter, and while Lilly insisted her friend join us every single night for dinner, she and Talarian came to an arrangement, some agreement that even I didn't fully understand. It involved the cycles of the moon and the change of the seasons and days of the week. But it was all about when he would next arrive. And without error or fail, we learned that when Lilly would announce in the morning that her friend would be arriving to dinner, even if we hadn't seen him in months, Talarian would be there at our door that evening. Always with a full pack, not for us, but with rare materials and goods he had tracked down with his skills for us to sell. Talarian spoke more and more to me on our hunts and around the dinner table over the following year. We had fierce debates about the natural world and civilization. Both of us, I believe, possibly, broadening the perspectives of each other. The necessity of farming to feed a growing and ever denser population, as well as the need to preserve all of the wild places of the earth. Lilly took to mediating these debates, and when discussions got too heated, she would place a finger across our lips and say, "That's enough. Time to let everyone be happy," and then present her doll with a normal, "Kiss the baby. Okay, all better now." Talarian arrived for dinner on schedule in the early spring the next year, with a gift from his mother, especially for Sarah and Lilly this time. A dozen white daylily bulbs, and an iridescent white daylily bloom that looked just picked, even though surely daylilies hadn't been blooming since last summer. Sarah joyfully planted the bulbs the next day as we bid Talarian farewell, only Lilly knowing for sure when he would return. Little did I know then that it would be all the planting I would see that year. You see, an undetected leak had spoiled the community's seed. We would have to borrow gold from the contract to even buy enough new seed to make rent for the land if something couldn't be arranged. And as the only person in our community skilled in anything more than farming, I took it upon myself and conscripted into a caravan as a guard for enough gold to furnish seed for the whole season. Somehow Lilly understood that I was leaving, and her usual, "Kiss the baby, okay, all better now," seemed to comfort her far more than me as she went back to play. I'd signed on with the caravan for a round trip, just to High Mountain back. It was an eventful journey, and I honed the skills Talarian had taught me and even expanded on them as I learned from experience and the more senior guards who traveled with us. I proved myself to be a trustworthy and hard worker, and the caravan master, Tristan, took note of me. So in the fall, when I returned, to help with the last of the harvest, I also carried an offer as well. I sat Sarah and Lilly down at our small table by our familiar hearth and presented to them what Tristan had proposed. His next trip would be to Torvolio, on the other side of the Weiss. It would take more than a year to complete the round trip, but it would provide enough money to fill the full remainder of the contract on the land for the community. just a single year apart, would bring the dream of a generation to all of us. My dear Sarah, so self-reliant and resilient, just squared her shoulders and steeled herself, knowing this was just the continuation of the path that her grandfather had begun, and she herself had continued, and now was being carried on by the next generation, as the young of the village would rise in the dark each morning, preparing carts of all they could spare and offer and taking it to market for sale. Lilly, my child of mist and moonlight, she took it in stride. Time for everyone to be happy now. It's okay. My friend is on a long trip, too, was all she said before presenting Bebe for a kiss and returning to the sing-song melody she was humming. We arranged a meeting with Tristan, the community elder and the lord of the next day, and it was done. The land was ours, to cultivate, manage, defend, to found a new life for ourselves. The community would just work one more growing season while the lord found new tenants, and then head out midwinter the next year to arrive in time to build shelter and clear the new land and get the first crop in the ground. I gathered maps and reports and arranged for blazes to be left along their path, as I would have to meet them there in the summer, hopefully in time for the Feast of Midsummer, having fulfilled my contract with Tristan. The harvest festival that year was grand. A huge celebration as word of the contract fulfillment spread, with the whole community celebrating and being joined by many from the surrounding area, both to congratulate us, I think, but then also to scout out the land we were leaving behind, so perhaps they could be the new ones to work it. Late into the night, the celebration lasted with much debate on the name of what our new village would be, and at last we arrived at something we all could accept: Tilla's Grove. The winter went past quickly, as everyone was busy preparing for the journey ahead. Even though it was still a year away, moving a community is not a trivial task, and much planning and preparation was needed to be done. We laid out Tilla's Grove with places for homes and orientation of fields, plans for a grain mill on the stream to be constructed while the first crops grew, everything our village would need. My own preparations needed to be completed quickly, as I'd be leaving in the spring with Tristan, and upon return would go straight to Tilla's Grove, my new home. The days quickly began to grow longer, and I helped Sarah tend her daylily bulbs, both of us with heavy hearts. And then I once again left my Sarah and my Lilly to complete the final step of fulfilling our dream. I was heartbroken saying goodbye, but I reassured myself that sometimes dreams needed to be protected by action instead of just faith in order to come true. He starts to choke up. If I had just... And you noticed that through this telling of his story, he's unwrapped the oilcloth bundle that he had in his hands. Within it is a simply made corn husk doll, a perfectly white daylily that looks like it had just been picked. Dustin shakes his head and sort of puts his hand again on it and says, "I will be with you," and walks away.